Hi guys, Chart Guy Charlie here doing another video, this time on XSPA. Uh, remember, uh, no one can predict the future. I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm just giving you my observations, so do your own due diligence. Remember that money management is your most important thing. I like to say the big three: always have a day trade, always use a stop loss, and always have a profit target in mind. 1, 2, 3. Don't blow up your trading account. So let's just jump into this. Um, and as you see, I've got some trend lines I've already put in place, which I think are pretty important. And let's start with a long-term trend that this stock is on. If you look at this point where I started here, the stock's been uptrending, and it got close to the blue line here, and recently it's gotten close here, but it hasn't touched it. And not only hasn't it touched it, and it appears to have turned around, but where it's turned around here is a little higher than this low here, where it originally gapped up back a while ago. So those are important things and healthy things, in my opinion. So long term, I like that. I like that it's turned around at the point that it has. Let's now look at the short-term downtrend that we're in. If we zoom out a little bit here, actually zoom in, move back, you'll see that we are in a short-term downtrend. We had a massive gain in this stock, and it got way ahead of itself. So it's not surprising that a lot of profit takings, come in. But the downtrend really began in this area here. I'd like to look at this point as a starting point, and if you can see that it's just been nicely following downwards here along the blue line, never touching it except for here a second time. Again, following it, never touching it, and it kind of got away from it here and really made a attempt at hitting this long-term trend line. But as I said, it stayed off of it. It's turned around, and in my opinion, these next couple of days are pretty crucial because of this intersection here. So I think we have a chance of breaking it. We'll see. It could break it tomorrow. Could break it the next day. It could break down and take out the long-term trend line. So something, it can move sideways, but if it moves sideways, it's going to do something as well. I feel like if it's going to move sideways, it's probably going to take out the short-term trend line. So be really watching this stock in the next couple of days. Tomorrow could be the day that it does it, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit further, what the chances are, some buying opportunities. But let me just clear this out and zoom in one more time, and look at this daily chart before we move on to a different time frame. If you look at the this candle right here, that was an important day. It's got a really long long stem. I'd call it a hammer. The stock pulled way down. It was here at one point, and what closed up here. That's a sign of a turnaround. It held the second day, this day here, and it was a higher low, and this day again a higher low, and then today a higher low, and it's putting in higher highs. So we are moving up here in these last 4 days. Pretty good sign of a bottom, moving back up, moving towards the trend line. Good things, good things, in my opinion. So now let's go to a different time frame here to try to hone in on what might occur in the next day or two. And we'll move to, let's start with a 5 day, because I think that's easier to see what I was just pointing out a little bit ago. If you look at that this was that hammer, that long stem hammer day, um, where we can kind of see a bottom, and this was that uptrend of the lower lows. If you look at this right here, the stock um, broke above it, which is also significant. I feel like that was a healthy thing to happen to this stock. Um, and so moving from that, we're going to go to and look at what happened today, specifically after that happened yesterday, because that's when that event occurred, that break above that line, that flat line. So if we look at today's chart, let me switch this to a 3-minute, make it a little bit easier to see what's happening here. So this is today, post-market yesterday, pre-market today, and aftermarket. We had a surge with a little bit of news post-market yesterday. Got way up to here, and it pulled back. And this morning it tried to rally, couldn't get too far. Started pulling back in pre-market, and then it opened lower. But you'll see that it found support at a higher high here, and kind of formed a cup and a handle, whereby this area here is pretty important. This area of 3.2, I would call that the handle. It needs to get broken. It didn't really do a whole lot in after hours today. This area here. So what it does tomorrow is going to be important. Is it going to break? Is it going to open up above here? That would be a good thing. Is it going to trail off here in the morning? That would be a continuation of this handle. Might provide a buying opportunity. I'd like to think that we could put, if we were going to buy somewhere in here, you could probably put a stop in this area. If it broke out on some strong volume, you might consider buying the breakout, especially if it not only breaks out from this cup and handle, but breaks that downward trend line we talked about earlier. Downside risk, of course, you've got support in this area here. So if it did open up lower in this area, you could be buying and have a stop in this area, and anticipate what might happen after that, and just be watchful of the stock throughout the day. So I think that's enough said about it. Like I say, if you're not buying, at least keep an eye on this, because I think if it breaks that trend line, that downward trend line, we might have some upward movement on the stock. So happy trading, everyone, and I hope you make some money.